Artem?
I would like to give it a try to explain. A few days ago, we read article about how to diving the light changing impact on our life and how to adjust to changes these changes actually. And some part of article I remember that someone suggested to wake people early for some reason that sunrise is go early. It's the month of season of year season. Is it autumn or is it fall actually? And what else I remember that one person suggested that some people who also wake up later after sunrise usually use more electricity at night, and for solving this reason also, and they some people made some researches about what trouble the changes cause to people about to commute to work when the time changes happens.
Okay, great. That's good. You remembered a lot from the article, actually. What does anyone remember anything else about any of the other problems they mentioned, or any of the benefits that they said maybe aren't true? Or can you remember why they said that it started? Yes, it started in the 19th century. Martin, do you remember why? Or do you remember who started it?
Yes, I can remember the name. It was Benjamin Franklin, American president, and he forced the citizens to change the time, and he fired in the morning some shots with cannon and punish the people with fine who had the blinds shut off.
Yes, I think he suggested these things. I don't know if they actually did it, but he definitely suggested the cannons and the fines to try to make people get out of bed earlier. Okay, can you remember any other benefits or any other negatives that they mentioned in the article?
Yeah, I remember one noun. It is pedestrians. Pedestrians means the people who are walking, and it was mentioned there that they are in danger when we switched the time. When we are switching the time in March, the people may be sleepy, and there is higher risk for pedestrian to be hit by car or something like that.
Yes, exactly. There's more pedestrian casualties in during these times when they make the time changes, because everyone's a lot more tired and it's a lot darker in the morning when people are going to work, so it's more dangerous for people. Okay, I have a question for everyone then. A few people mentioned, actually Eric was mentioning some interesting things, but I don't think he's here today, about which countries have daylight savings and why they have daylight savings or why they don't have daylight savings. So let's find out now then, whose country has daylight savings? And if you don't have daylight savings, why don't you have daylight savings? Aladdin?
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. That's good. Currently, we are not using the daily time saving it's now, but before that, we used it before, so it's kind of I have an experience with using daily saving time and without have daily saving time. Indeed, without it, everything is good because you don't want to change your mind. But it's happened with session now. It's on calendar. Yes, it's related with Berlin calendar. So I'm feeling the same things that what I was feeling when they changing the daylight saving time here with sessions now. For example, your session it's supposed to be one later hour, but I found it's the same time, which mean I was yesterday it was I said, oh, finally I can go catch you. That's what I said because I thought it will be delayed or to be shifting 1 hour later. So it's what happened after the time it changed in Berlin time. It's the same time for me because I didn't change my time. You didn't change your time, but Berlin time is changing. Yes, and that's because some kind of when was there yesterday. Oh, is that supposed to happen? I checked twice, and I have this fear that it's something happened in my calendar, but it was right. Nothing changed for my time at the same time you starting your session yesterday. So I'm not sure why you are using a daily light saving time again. But in my country we use it before for 1 year 3 times. They changing it. Sometimes they said, okay, let's this happened after revolution. They said, okay, we don't need to use daily light saving time anymore longer. But after 60 months or 1 years again, oh no, we have to change it again, and they go back with their decisions again. But now we are not using it until now. I'm not sure what happened in the future. They don't have any.
They might
But
change their time
yeah,
again
they
in the
might.
future.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Everybody's so globally connected now that it doesn't matter so much even if your country has daylight saving time. If another country where you talk to people who are in that country, if they have it, it still affects you. So it doesn't matter whether it's just your country or not.
Yes, it doesn't matter now.
Okay, Artem?
Yes, my country has a lot of time zones, and it's sometimes difficult to talk to your friends or your relatives who lives in another cities. According to me, I have a lot relative all over the country, and the farthest one resides next to the China and Siberia. and it's too far and too huge distance between us, and the time difference is 5 hours. But if we compare to all distance from Kaliningrad, it's the city on the left side of Russian map, and to Kamchatka, it's the right spot of on the map of our country. And difference between these two parts is 10 hours. And sometimes I guess for people who live there, very difficult to communicate with each other. But for me, I think it's not so big problem. Actually, for government, monitor news. I notice sometimes that it's they face some difficulties with it actually, and there is where I live, Saratov, usually sunrise start very lately, and at springtime people usually wait to change this time for not to be to make duration of daylight longer, because they usually go to commute to work in dark all the time, and go back from work also at night and see the daylight from the window usually, and they face the daylight changing with happiness usually. This is
Yes, it doesn't really help very much moving the time forward or back 1 hour if there's only a very few hours of sunlight in the day anyway. It probably doesn't help so much. As you said, you still go to work in the dark and you still get home in the dark, so it doesn't make a very big difference. Paola?
Yes, thank you. Hi, everyone. Yes, I live in Italy, and we have the daylight saving time. And I'm not sure, but I think that we have this time shift in the last years. I remember it since I was a child, and I don't know precisely the reason, but I think that is related to the power saving, to the to have to spend less power energy, and I'm not sure if it's effective or not, and it's quite uncomfortable to change the time twice a year. I think that we should perform some studies to verify if it's really useful or not.
Yeah, I agree, Paula, because we've had it for a long time, but I don't think we really think about why we have it or whether it's really helpful for us after all. Or, as this article says, whether it might be actually worse for us than we think it might be. Hernan?
Hi, thank you. I wasn't here in the last session, but I tried to read the article, and I remember in my country they try. I'm from Argentina, and they tried this several times. I think that every 5 years or 10 years they tried this again, but it just simply doesn't work. At least not with us. And the main reason was trying to save energy, I guess, but. It seems that it doesn't work. Actually, I mean, we maybe we didn't implement it for a long time in order to be able to prove that beyond any doubt. But for us, it didn't work. I mean, I was reading that in the article they were saying that in some countries they think that it could help. I don't know, people trying to avoid getting robbed in the streets because they only go out when they're light. Well, here, light or not, day or night, if they're going to rob you, they're going to rob you. So it's not going to make a difference. And we have a major energy crisis, and this has nothing to do with it. I mean, it's not going to solve it. We need investments and to change everything because of years and years of bad governments and neglecting our energy system. So now we are paying the consequences. Every time that we have 4 seasons. Every time in summer we have more than 30 degrees in the capital city. We were suffering power cuts nowadays. It's something that it never happened before. But nowadays, with so many people living in the same area, it's complicated. And this for us was not a solution. So it didn't work here. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that's an interesting point of view. So these power cuts or the daylight savings doesn't really help with energy consumption then, or at least it didn't help very much in Argentina. It would be interesting to see whether they've done studies in other countries as well to see whether it has helped, if it did make a difference or not. Luca?
Yes, I speak for Italy. Now we have 1 hour of DST, but I think that is maybe is quite comfortable because during summer you will without DST you will have the sunrise at maybe 5:30 a.m. So and in the winter you will have the sunrise at 7:30 a.m. So I think in the first case is a little bit more soon, and in the other case is a little bit more after, because if you wake up without sun, for me is not good. I think the real reason is this, but also my opinion is that it's not difficult to regulate your rhythm, your life rhythm in base of DST, because 1 hour is not too much for me.
Okay, that's an interesting point here, because the article was saying that a lot of the biggest problems with daylight saving time happened when we change. So in that few weeks after we change it, after we go forward, and then those few weeks when we go back again as well. So how do you, if you have daylight savings time or you have experienced it, how did you feel when you had to do this change? Was it difficult for you to do the change, or did you find it easy to adjust to getting up an hour earlier or getting up an hour later? Luca?
But in Italy was last Sunday, or better, from Saturday to Sunday. For me, was not a problem, because I woke up at 1 p.m. and I woke up. I thought that was 12 a.m. and after I remember that, oh, okay, DST, no problem, 1 hour late, but it was Sunday.
So it's easier if it was on the weekend. Aladdin?
No, it's difficult to change your daily routine when you starting to change anything that you used to do it. It's difficult. At least it's for the first months maybe, and after that you will use to do it, because this kind of thing it's not related with, it's related with your biology clock. I'm not sure I say it right or wrong.
Yes, it's
Is it
your
right?
biological
Yeah.
clock.
Yes, biological clock. That's it. So it's difficult. It's not easy.
Yeah, I find it, especially the first, maybe not the first month, but maybe the first week is a little bit difficult. Manu?
Yes, thank you, Natasha. Hi all. I think that DST in spring is not so bad, particularly for me because I'm a night owl. So I think I tend to wake up later in the morning as according to my working turn. And I like when you have more daylight into the afternoon and the evening because it is helpful for your mood. You feel more cheerful, more serene, and because you have so much daylight surrounding you. But I think for many people, to wake up earlier in the morning can affect their health. In fact, the article spoke about an increase in the percentage of heart attacks that can affect some people because your body has to accustom to wake up earlier in the morning. It is can take several days because your body adapt to this new routine, I suppose. But generally, my opinion is not so bad because after several days you adjust your body clock.
Okay, so maybe that first adjustment is a little bit difficult, but after that, then it has lots of benefits for your mood and for your health and how you feel every day, really.
Yes, that is, yes.
Okay. Artem?
When you ask this question, I immediately remind my childhood when I went to school, and this changes in the day timing caused me a lot of trouble. I just remember when I have to get up on 1 year, on 1 hour, on 1 year, on 1 hour earlier than usual. It just disappointed me very much. But usually nowadays, and it's still the same. It don't make any problem for me.
Yeah, it maybe affects you more depending if you have to wake up really early anyway, normally. So maybe if you already feel like you're waking up really early in the morning, having to wake up that extra hour earlier might make a big difference. Paola?
Yes. For me, it's very difficult to adapt to the new time. Actually, I wake up at 6:30 every morning, and for me, it's too early because I would like to sleep more, and my biological clock is not aligned with the time that I have in my schedule. And if I have to shift back 1 hour, for me it's terrible. I need more than 1 week to adapt to the new time because it's for me it's 5:30, and when I wake up, I feel that I'm just in the middle of the night. And I think that the ability to adapt to the new time is related to our biological clock. And probably the early birds are less affected by the change of the time.
Yeah, I think you might be right. I had something similar where I had to go to work very early in the morning, and I was during winter. It had been dark when I left my house every day, and as it got closer to spring and to summer, it started to get light, and I was so happy because now there was sun when I woke up in the morning, or at least once I was on the bus there was sun. And then daylight savings started and they changed the clocks, and so suddenly then I was waking up in the dark again. It was so disappointing because I got so excited and so happy that I was finally getting to wake up when there was light, when it wasn't dark outside, and then I had to go back to waking up in the dark again. So I think it's a lot harder to wake up when it's still dark outside. It's a lot easier when you can see some more sunlight. Okay, well, what do you think then about some of the reasons why they say that we have daylight savings time? So one of the big reasons that they said that governments use is that it saves on electricity. But what do you think about this? Do you think that changing the clocks does save on electricity? Aladdin?
No, of course not. They change it. I'm not sure. It's not having one, because you will return it after a couple of days. But for 1 hour, it's not saving any energy. There is a huge other solutions you can save energy with it, not to change 1 hour clock forward or backward.
You think it's not a big
This
enough
is
of a
not the
change
solution, yeah.
to make a difference?
Yes.
Okay, Artem?
I'm agree with Aladdin totally that it doesn't make any sense actually. I think the direct purpose of this activity with changing time, it's always related with sun, always with light, not with electricity. I think this the amount of electricity consumes is the same amount. Is it?
Okay, Hernan?
Yeah, thank you. Here, I can say that it didn't work. I mean, at least not for us. And what worked a bit, because we had this energy crisis, was first the rates of what you have to pay your bills have increased. They are charging more because they intend to have more investments in order to modify the current energy system. So I think that education can help. We don't have the tradition in order to be aware of how much energy we are using. So we needed to be taught somehow. I mean, and sometimes in the hard way that it's, well, you are going to pay more because here energy was up to a couple of years ago cheap compared to even our neighbors. So nowadays we are facing this crisis, and with these rates, it's much more expensive. It is expensive, and so I think that it's helping making us think before wasting energy, and I think that actually is a way to save energy, to be aware of the use and what are we and our own consumption. We need to start at home first, I think.
Okay, so maybe being more aware of how much you're using is more important than maybe changing the times when you would be using the electricity.
Totally.
Okay.
At least here it worked like that. I mean, it didn't work when they tried to change 1 hour in winter and then get it back in summer or changing like that. No, it didn't work.
Okay, Manu?
Yes, I think that In general, DST doesn't help saving electricity consumption because you get 1 more hour in the afternoon of daylight, so you can save electricity then. But in the morning, you consume that much electricity because it is still dark. So in general, I suppose it is measured simply as the article went, help smoothing peaks and valleys of consumption. So the government probably can save money in storage and delivering because of smoothing these peaks and valleys, these periods of high consumption or low consumption. But in general, the consumption is equal. So the government can't save the consumption only by delivering, maybe save money on delivering and storage, I suppose.
Yeah, that's kind of what I think too, that we probably use the same amount, but maybe just the time that we use it, the time of day might be a little bit different. Luca?
Yes, for me also DST is not based on saving energy. I think if we want to save energy, we could make more green energy and take advantage of natural source. Maybe there is a convenience, I think, in the electricity demand, in the hours of electricity demands.
Yes, so it might take away some of those really high demand hours because people might be away from the house or doing things outside. Okay, Artem?
I just wanted to chip in something with that if we reduce amount of consumption of energy, it won't solve our problem. Actually, we just replace this amount of taxes with of air. Actually, we will pay for air. And actually, I think it's depend on from which equipment out of which factory we receive the energy, whether it nuclear power station or maybe it's solar system, which don't consume any resources. Actually, it's just convert the solar system into energy, and that's it. We have to just build this stuff more and use all the time the electricity whenever we want. That's it.
Okay, so we'd have to find some other ways to. We need to find some other ways to produce this energy then, so that whether the consumption goes up or not, because of daylight savings, it doesn't make a difference. We've still got enough energy for everything. Okay, April?
It's my turn now?
Yes.
Okay. But about the if we spend more or we save energy by doing DST, maybe we don't feel it, but I can't imagine that they continue do that if there is no advantage. So it must be somewhere energy which is saved I'm sure about it, that I think. But we, as personally, I think we don't feel that. Like just like last week, I think the Earth hour, we just switch off our electricity as much as many as possible for 1 hour, and in the hope that with that we save some things. So every little bit will count, I think. So it must be. I'm not pro DST either, because it is a lot of trouble. Now the trouble is less because a lot of devices, clocks, television, computer, it is going automatically. It changes automatically, so you don't have to adjust it anymore. But in the past, when I was young, oh, it is terrible, because we have to go up on the ladder and to adjust the clock now too, because I have one clock that is only on battery and it is not computerized, so I have to adjust it. And in the past, our clock, you were not supposed to turn it to the right, to the left. I mean, so if you have to put the hours back, you have to turn it the whole time to the right, because otherwise it will damage the radar, the machine, I think. So you have to try to turn it on and on and on until you've got the right hour. And sometimes is it going too much, so you have to do it again. So that was in my time. So it was a lot trouble. But even then, now I have now two clocks actually at home. One, it is automatized, so it computerized, so it is going well. So it shows me the right hour. But the other, I have to do it myself, and I'm too lazy. So today at 9:30, I think, I was thinking, I have just eaten my dinner, and I think, oh, I still have a lot of time. But then I think, oh no, I'm looking at the clock, which is not correct. So actually, is it already 5:30 an hour later? So I don't have any time, a lot of time anymore. And in my car also, I didn't know anymore how to adjust the clock in the car. So it cost me a lot of time to find out how to adjust my clock, and and finally I couldn't help myself, and I just look at the instructions. Otherwise, I will be there for 1 hour in the car, just trying to adjust it. So it is a lot of trouble for us actually. But I convinced that it must be energy that which is saved somehow, I think. Otherwise,
you think there has to be a
yeah,
benefit somewhere.
it has to be. Yeah, I believe that.
I think changing clocks, and I think sometimes the clock's changing automatically. That's almost a problem in itself, because sometimes I don't remember whether the clock changes itself automatically or not. And so then I don't know which clocks in the house are showing me the right time and which one of them are wrong. And so then I have to Google to find out what the time actually is, so I can see which ones are the right ones and I actually know what time it is. I get very confused when they change by themselves. So it confuses me even more, I think. Okay, Pratik, would you like to add something?
Yeah, thank you. So, in context of power saving by daylight saving, if you see daylight saving, it is mostly in developed countries, and in developed countries, power transmission loss is less. So they are concentrating more beyond to save energy from the citizens of their countries. So here comes one daylight saving solution, and it works not much but maybe little to save the electricity. For example, if your time for your office is delayed in winters, then you can save some power uh, consumptions by turning off the lights because of the light from the sun. But for developing countries, it's another case. They have to first improve their power transmission loss, then daylight saving. Okay?
Ah, okay. So for this to be a good reason in some countries, they first have to develop the infrastructure a little bit more and fix some of the infrastructure problems.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, one of the other reasons that they always give for why daylight savings is good is that you have extra time in the afternoon or at night after you finish work to do things outside or to exercise or things like this. Do you think this is real? When you have daylight savings, do you use this extra time to do things outside or to do things that you probably wouldn't do if it was dark outside? April?
Even if they say that in October we will put our clock 1 hour back, so everybody says always, then we can sleep 1 hour later, longer, 1 hour longer. But it doesn't happen like that, because like Paula said, also your biological clock is already 6 months the same. So and you are especially if you have to go to work, you will be afraid that you will be late if you sleep longer. So how I never use that 1 hour longer actually. It's always at the same time, so it is 1 hour earlier I will wake up. So it doesn't matter if it is 1 hour longer or not. It's actually I sleep shorter than if I wake up 1 hour earlier. Actually, normally I could sleep 1 hour longer, but because I wake up at the same time, and the old clock, it means that I sleep 1 hour shorter. So it is so complicated. They said that the babies have a lot of problem with adjusting their biological clock. Actually, people said that. I don't know if, but I wonder now, how about the animal, because we don't ask them, we don't tell them that they could sleep 1 hour longer or 1 hour shorter. What about them? Because we don't have communication, we don't communicate with them, so they have to do it by looking at the sky. So for them, it doesn't matter if it's shorter or longer. It's much also complicated for them, I think. No?
Which animals though, April? I don't know very many animals that have, appointments that they have to go to, or, that they have to do things at a certain time every day. So what kinds of animals do you mean?
But the farmer take them from their sleep, because they have to milk the cow, for example, and that is 1 hour longer, 1 hour earlier or 1 hour later. So it also has and some influence for that animal, especially for the cow, I think, or for the chicken. Because we go to the chicken house for the eggs 1 hour earlier or 1 hour earlier or later.
I think Paolo and Manu might be right here. I think farmers don't pay so much attention to the clocks. I think they pay more attention maybe to the sun, and I think they usually get up whenever the sun does, no matter what hour that is. So I don't know if the farm animals, if the cows and the chickens would be affected so much, but maybe we should consider them as well when we're thinking about whether daylight savings is a good thing or not. Luca, did you want to add something?
Yes, I want to say that for me isn't. I spend extra time, but maybe not for the DST effect, but maybe because I feel the spring, and so you feel the weather become quite more good day by day. But then when you get the timing, the new rhythm, always became like before. Like when you are in the winter, the rhythm became more or less the same. You go to work, come back home, make your weekend. Also, sometimes for me it's difficult during summer when, for example, the last summer we had 1 month really hot, and if during the night, during the evening, if you can, you stay at home. If you are lucky to have the conditioner, maybe you can go to sleep also before, because you are tired, because the weather so hot make you more tired, I think.
Yeah, I think maybe the amount of sunlight you have in a day does affect your energy levels as well, and maybe your motivation to want to do things. So maybe that has a bigger effect than just moving the time zone, really. Paula?
Yes, I agree with you, because actually I don't think that adults change a lot their routine in relation to the change of the time, because our work time doesn't change, and so we have the same amount of hours for the leisure activities in the days. Probably it could be different for children, because they can play longer in the garden with the daylight, and they can hang out with the friends with the less troubles due to the darkness. But yes, actually, I don't think that this affects a lot our daily routine. Probably our routine is related also to the temperature and to the number of hours of daylight that naturally change with the seasons.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think as adults we usually have a pretty strict routine that we follow, and it doesn't really matter what season it is or how much sunlight. We tend to still follow that same pattern and that same rhythm every day. So you might have a little bit more motivation maybe to do something else if there's more sun, but your basic routine is probably going to stay the same. Martin?
Yes, I think the same. Like you, like Paula, that routine is still the same, because I think the biggest reason in this activity is related to the morning, only to the morning, not to the evening, because in my point of view, it's because it's directly related to the time while worker employee commit to factory or to commit work, and it's better to go during this time in bright light, and if you compare with darkness, because people is still sleepy, and it may cause a lot of trouble and accidents on the streets, and we don't want to make more traffic jams on our streets, and to be stuck in them for a long time, and to be useful for company. The people have to come in time, actually. And actually, according to the person, if I would like to talk about one person, I think he will be moody just a few days after changes, and after 2 days he will be adjust completely to that. But Paula have mentioned a good point that for children it's more beneficial because children usually overslept in the morning and want to be awaken longer usually, and it's nice when day longer.
Yeah, I think it might be good for maybe children are the people who get the benefit from this extra time in the afternoon, because they're able to play outside maybe a little bit later than they would be able to if it got dark a little bit earlier. So maybe there's more benefits there with this extra hour for children instead of for adults. Okay, so my last big question for everyone. If you could choose whether everywhere in the world stopped having daylight savings time, if it didn't exist anymore and nobody changed their time zones during the year, do you think it would be better to stop daylight savings time? Or do you think that it's still useful and that countries should keep using daylight savings time? Martin?
Yeah, thank you for the mic. Yeah, I would stop the changing the time, and because I don't like the daylight saving time. I would stop it, and I would try, let's say, 5 years, don't do any shifting, and then ask the people if they want to introduce that time again. Because as we can see, we could see in the article, it wasn't people's choice. It was some law without any how to say, without any referendum. Nobody asked people, do you want to get up earlier in the March 1 hour 1 hour sooner? Because if you would ask the people, do you want to introduce DST, probably they wouldn't agree, because no one wants to get up earlier. That's my point. It is not the democratic time. It is just some something what we are forced to do by government. Nobody wants this time.
That's a good point. And maybe if we had a break for a little while, we would have a better idea as well about whether there were benefits to doing it or not. Because when you've only ever done it one way, it can be a little bit difficult to know whether it makes a difference in your life or not. If you've never experienced both sides, it's hard to pick which one is the best side. Artem?
Yeah, actually, it would be cool if we would delete the timing saving, but we have to add then in solar system free more sun on every side of Earth, and every country would be, every person in every country on all over the world would get up at the same time. It would be better to talk to each other and to do business with each other. It's actually a very easy task for us. We have to just to come up with the idea how to add free sons.
That might be a little hard, Artem. I think we would have to change the shape of the Earth. I don't think that would be so easy for us to do. Monique, I think you have 6 months. I think the next time change now is in October or November. Does anyone know when it is?
In October, I think, at the end of October.
Oh, okay. It might depend on where you are as well. Because in some places as well, I think for me, actually it might just be for me. I think everybody else is in the Northern Hemisphere or doesn't have daylight savings if you're in the Southern Hemisphere. So I know that I have another change in there too when I start daylight savings. And I know it's not at the same time that Europe finishes. So there's another 2 little changes in there. Okay. There's a few people who've been very quiet today. Did any of you want to add anything about daylight savings or your experience with it? No? Okay. Anybody else who thinks maybe that we should keep daylight savings time, that it's a positive thing and you don't want to see it go?
Let's organize a referendum, Natasha.
A referendum here, everybody vote.
For the whole country, maybe, like the Scottish and British so good at doing referendum.
Sure, will we do it now or will we do it in the forum later? Monique?
Anywhere.
No, basically, I just wanted to say that I didn't jump into the conversation because we don't have such a thing here. So, yeah, it's the same every time. We never change. So it's something that it's cool, because you don't have to think about it. But since I've been here, I'm talking about Alien and attending some of the sessions. It's like yeah, I care about that. I need just to check my calendar when the time changes, and I think that I'm part of that somehow. But yeah, enjoy it, guys, because I don't know what else can I say.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you talk with people from other countries, it still affects you, whether your country is affected or not. Artem?
Actually, Manik, I actually also don't pay so much attention to this activity. I have to change. Oh, okay, I will do it.
So it sneaks up on you. You don't have much of an opinion until it happens. Aladdin?
I have an issue with not only the daily saving time. And you are in a Brazil, you are using the same thing in daily saving time. When you change your timing between, I'm not sure, it's not the normal. The rest of countries do it. You have a special things. I'm not sure. Is it right? Because when you change your time for sessions, that's a really I against that because it's changing the whole things. I'm not sure what it, but you are. It says daily saving time. Is this the issue?
Yeah, it's still
Because you change your time
savings
before it happened with all the rest of
Yes.
countries. Why is that happening?
Yes, because the Southern Hemisphere starts and ends daylight savings at a different time. So it's not like the whole world changes their time zone back or forward at the same time. So for me, daylight savings starts in October and finishes in February
December.
or March. No, December's fine usually. So for me,
We are in
that
March.
means
It's not finishing in March.
no, it finished in February.
February.
Yes. So that means that every year, for me, the time changes for me and Berlin. The time changes in February,
Twice.
in March, in October, and in November. It changes 4 times a year because there's 2 starts and 2 finishes. That's what gets confusing.
That's I have to complain about it. Sorry.
Yes, that's why I'm against
If
daylight
it's changing
savings.
twice.
Yeah, that's why it gets confusing. And that's why I think that I don't like daylight savings so much, because it creates so much confusion. And I never know whether it's gone forward or backwards or what time it's supposed to be. So for me, the confusion, I think, is the worst part about daylight savings. Okay, guys. Well, we might finish here for today, but remember, we've got the topic on the forum, so if you want to add in any extra thoughts, any extra ideas, anything else you thought of, and let's see as well if we can do maybe a referendum on the forum. Let's see how many people are for or how many people are against daylight savings as well, okay? But thank you very much, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the session and hopefully talk to you all again soon. Don't forget to hit the red button to hang up, okay? Bye, everyone.
One person suggested that some people who also wake up later after sunrise usually use more electricity at night, and for solving this reason also, and some people made some researches about what trouble the changes cause to people about to commute to work when the time changes happens.
Okay, great. That's good. You remembered a lot from the article, actually. What does anyone remember anything else about any of the other problems they mentioned or any of the benefits that they said maybe aren't true? Or can you remember why they said that it started? Mentioned in the article?
Yeah, I remember one noun. It is pedestrians. Pedestrians means the people who are walking, and it was mentioned there that they are in danger when we switched the time. When we are switching the time in March, the people may be sleepy, and there is higher risk for pedestrian to be hit by car or something like that.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. There's more pedestrian casualties during these times when they make the time changes, because everyone's a lot more tired and it's a lot darker in the morning when people are going to work, so it's more dangerous for people. Okay. I have a question for everyone then. A few people mentioned, actually Eric was mentioning some interesting things, but I don't think he's here today, about which Yes, it started in the 19th century. Martin, do you remember why? Or do you remember who started
Yes.
it?
Yes, I can remember the name. It was Benjamin Franklin, American president, and he forced the citizens to change the time, and he fired in the morning some shots with cannon and punish the people with fine who had the blinds shut off.
Yes, I think he suggested these things. I don't know if they actually did it, but he definitely suggested the cannons and the fines to try to make people get out of bed earlier. Okay, can you remember any other benefits or any other negatives that they... Artem?
I would like to give it a try to explain. A few days ago, we read the article about how to diving the light changing impact on our life, and how to adjust to changes, these changes actually. And some part of article I remember that someone suggested to wake people early for some reason, that sunrise is go early. It's the month of season of year season. Is it autumn or is it fall actually? And what else I remember that the
countries have daylight savings and why they have daylight savings or why they don't have daylight savings. So let's find out now then, whose country has daylight savings? And if you don't have daylight savings, why don't you have daylight savings? Aladdin?
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. That way. Currently, we are not using the daily time saving it's now, but before that we used it before, so it's kind of I have an experience with using daily saving time and without have daily saving time. Indeed, without it, everything is good because you don't want to change your mind. But it's happened with session now. It's on calendar. Yes, it's related with Berlin calendar. So I'm feeling the same things that what I was feeling when they changing the daylight saving time here with sessions now. For example.